If you haven't stepped into an airport in the last year, I need to tell you something honestly. The airport you remember doesn't exist anymore. It looks the same. The departure boards still glow, the coffee still costs too much, people still rush past with rolling bags, the same announcements echo through the terminal, but underneath that familiar surface, the rules have quietly changed, and they are catching experienced travelers completely off guard. I'm not talking about minor policy tweaks. I'm talking about people being denied boarding with valid passports, carry-on bags that worked for years suddenly getting tagged with surprise fees, long-time frequent flyers losing perks they thought were guaranteed, travelers who've flown dozens of times standing at a gate, genuinely confused about what went wrong. And the worst part, most of these changes weren't loudly announced. They didn't send you an email. There was no press conference. They just started happening. And the assumption is that you already know. If you have a trip planned this year, comment ready below, because what I'm about to share could save you stress, money, and a very uncomfortable moment at the gate. I want you to walk into that airport feeling informed, not blindsided. Let's start before you even leave home. One of the biggest shocks in 2026 is happening before travelers ever reach security. More countries now require digital travel authorizations, approvals you must complete online before departure. You can have a perfectly valid passport, a confirmed ticket, travel insurance, hotel bookings, and a printed itinerary, and you can still be denied boarding because you didn't fill out a separate electronic authorization form in advance. Airlines are enforcing this aggressively. Why? Because if they transport someone without proper clearance, they face heavy government fines and are legally required to fly that passenger back at their own expense. So they aren't taking chances, not even small ones. What makes this so frustrating is that many travelers don't realize they need this approval until they're standing at the check-in counter. And by then, it's too late. Some authorizations are processed within minutes, others take hours, and some require 2 to 3 business days. If you're standing in a terminal the morning of your flight, the math simply doesn't work in your favor. The countries expanding these requirements include some of the most popular travel destinations in the world. Europe, parts of Southeast Asia, and several island destinations now have systems in place that didn't exist just a couple of years ago. Travel used to mean passport and ticket. Now it means passport, ticket, and digital clearance, quietly added. No fanfare, just consequences if you miss it. So before any international trip this year, set aside 30 minutes to research whether your destination requires an electronic travel authorization. Check the official government website, not a third-party booking site, and do it at least a week before you fly. But even if your documents are perfect, the next surprise might be sitting right beside you, your carry-on. Airlines have tightened carry-on enforcement more than I've ever seen. Bags that slid into overhead bins for years are now being measured at the gate, not casually, but very carefully. Staff are positioning bags directly into metal sizers and watching to see if they fit without forcing. If it doesn't slide in cleanly, it's getting tagged. And the gate check fees often higher than standard checked baggage. That's not a typo. In many cases, you would have paid less to check your bag from the beginning than you'll pay to have it taken at the gate. Soft bags, backpacks, and lightweight rollers, they're all being measured more consistently now. Many travelers assumed soft-sided bags had more flexibility because they compress. Airlines are no longer giving that benefit of the doubt. On many international routes, they're also weighing carry-ons. If your bag is a pound or two over, that's another fee. 2 pounds over on the wrong carrier can cost you $30 or more. This is catching people who have traveled with the same bag for 5 or 6 years without a single problem. The bag didn't change, the enforcement did. In my opinion, this isn't just about overhead space, it's revenue strategy dressed up as efficiency. Flights are fuller than ever, cabin space is genuinely tighter, and enforcement is stricter at the gate because that's where airlines can collect fees they couldn't charge online. The fix is simple but requires some discipline. Weigh and measure your carry-on at home before every trip. Not just once when you bought the bag, but before every trip, because what you pack changes, and limits vary by airline. Have you ever had your bag tagged unexpectedly? Tell me below, I read every comment. Now here's where things feel even more unfamiliar. Security machines in many airports are more advanced than ever. The technology has improved significantly in a short amount of time. And it's creating an experience that feels inconsistent and sometimes confusing. These machines see more, they flag more, and they behave differently from airport to airport. Snacks like cheese spreads, nut butters, and hummus are being flagged more often because they appear dense on scans. Dense food items in general, think blocks of hard cheese or tightly packed snacks, are triggering additional screening even when they're completely fine to bring. Portable chargers, multi-device cables, and even some medical devices are also getting pulled for secondary review. Some airports now require you to remove more electronics than before, tablets, e-readers, anything with a battery larger than a phone, but others don't. The inconsistency is real and documented by frequent travelers across dozens of airports. You might breeze through one airport with the same bag you've used for years, then get pulled aside in another city for the exact same items. It's not a mistake. It's a reflection of how differently individual airports are calibrating their equipment and their standards. The practical advice here is to treat every airport like it's stricter than the last one. Keep your bag organized, keep cables bundled, keep snacks near the top so they're easy to remove if asked. Don't let convenience at one airport become complacency at the next. And it's not just your belongings being scanned differently. Facial recognition is expanding quickly. In many major airports, you can now board using your face instead of scanning a boarding pass. Cameras capture your image, match it to your passport photo, and confirm your booking in seconds. When it works smoothly, it's genuinely impressive. You walk up, look at the camera, and you're cleared to board. In some places, it's optional. In others, it's the primary method, and it speeds things up significantly. If you opt out, you may face longer manual checks, additional ID verification, and sometimes a separate line that moves more slowly. Here's my honest take. It's efficient, but it can feel unsettling if you're not used to it, especially if you're not comfortable with biometric technology or you simply don't know it's coming. I've seen travelers arrive at a gate expecting to hand over a boarding pass and instead find themselves staring into a camera they weren't prepared for. Small things can interfere with a scan: lighting conditions in the jetway, glasses with strong reflections, hats with brims, even looking slightly away from the camera at the wrong moment. When a scan fails, some travelers don't know what to do next. Is it broken? Did something go wrong? Who do they talk to? The answer is usually just to step to the side, present your physical documents, and let an agent manually clear you. But knowing that in advance makes the moment far less stressful. Air travel used to be paper and people. Now it's cameras and automation. And that automation doesn't stop there. Boarding groups are now enforced by automated systems that will audibly reject you if you approach too early. I'm not exaggerating. The scanner flashes a denial message and produces a tone that everyone nearby can hear. It's a jarring sound, and the people standing behind you in line definitely notice. No more quietly slipping into line if you're a group or too early. No more "I'll just stand here in case they call mine next." If it's not your group, you are being sent back publicly. The gate agent doesn't have to say a word. The machine does it for them. This change is meant to reduce crowding at the gate, and in fairness, boarding is more orderly as a result. Overhead bin space is distributed more evenly. The process is faster in many cases, but it also feels rigid in a way that air travel never used to. It removes the small social flexibilities that experienced travelers used to rely on. If you're traveling with someone in a different fare class, you may not be able to board together, so make sure to plan for that and discuss it before you reach the gate. And if you thought loyalty status would soften some of these changes, think again. Frequent flyer programs are shrinking in ways many long-time travelers are only now noticing. Basic economy tickets on several major airlines earn little to no miles toward your balance. Some fares don't count toward status qualification at all, meaning you can fly 10 times on the same airline in a year and still not advance a single tier if you booked the wrong fare category. Even business class is becoming tiered. Perks that used to be standard across all premium tickets, things like lounge access, priority baggage, and complimentary upgrades now depend on which specific fare within business class you purchased. Two people sitting in the same cabin may have very different entitlements. It's subtle, but for someone who has been loyal to a single airline for years, it can feel like a quiet betrayal. The program looks the same on the outside. The status name is the same, the card in your wallet is the same, but the actual value has been quietly reduced. Before your next trip, log into your loyalty account and read the current program terms. Not the version you memorized 2 years ago, the current one. Things may have changed more than you realize. Are loyalty programs still worth it? I'd genuinely love your thoughts on that one. Now, let's talk about something that frustrates couples and families especially. Seat assignments are no longer guaranteed together unless you pay for them in advance. Basic economy fares often exclude seat selection entirely. That means even if you check in the moment the window opens, the system may still assign you separately based on what's available. There is no automatic grouping just because you booked under the same reservation. I've heard from travelers celebrating anniversaries, family reunions, milestone birthdays, special trips planned for months only to discover at check-in that they're seated rows apart, sometimes on opposite sides of the plane. It's not a glitch, it's the fare structure working exactly as designed. Airlines do state that they try to seat families with young children together, but the operative word is try, and beyond children under a certain age, there are often no guaranteed accommodations. If sitting together matters to you, and for most people it does, pre-selecting seats is becoming less optional and more essential. Factor it into your budget when comparing ticket prices. A flight that looks cheaper may actually cost more once you add the seat selection fees needed to avoid being separated. And then there's Wi-Fi. You may see free Wi-Fi advertised prominently across many airlines now. It's featured in booking confirmations, marketed on the aircraft itself, and highlighted in the airline's app. But there's a catch that a lot of travelers are discovering on most carriers offering free Wi-Fi, you must be enrolled in their loyalty program to access it, and you must have the airline's app installed before you board. Enrollment is free and usually takes a few minutes. But if you board without having done this, without the app installed, without your account confirmed, you may find yourself paying for internet mid-flight or simply going without simply, and on a long flight, that matters. The solution is easy. Download the airline's app before you leave home. Create a loyalty account if you don't have one. It takes 10 minutes and costs nothing. But it's another small step that wasn't required a couple of years ago. And it's another thing you might not know about until the moment you need it and can't access it. Now, let's address batteries and smart luggage, because this one is catching travelers completely off guard. Portable chargers must meet specific watt-hour limits to be permitted in the cabin. That's not about physical size, it's about energy capacity. A power bank can be small enough to fit in your palm and still exceed the limit if its capacity is high enough. Most consumer power banks fall within the allowed range. But high-capacity banks used for laptops or multiple devices sometimes don't. More importantly, if your power bank doesn't clearly display its watt-hour rating on the label, it may be confiscated at security regardless of its actual capacity. Inspectors can't verify what isn't printed on the device. So even a compliant charger can be taken if it's not properly labeled. All batteries must remain in carry-on luggage, never in checked bags. That rule has been in place for a while, but enforcement is tighter, and the consequences of getting it wrong have grown. Smart suitcases with built-in batteries are increasingly restricted, and some airlines refuse them entirely unless the battery is removable and removed before check-in. If you own a smart suitcase, verify that its battery is removable. If it isn't, research your airline's specific policy before you arrive at the airport with that bag. Timing is another area that has changed quietly but significantly. International flights now commonly recommend arriving 3 hours early. That's been creeping upward, and for good reason. More documentation checks, longer security queues, and additional screening steps all add time. If you're traveling with a domestic flight during peak travel periods, expect to arrive earlier than most travelers are used to. But the change that's causing the most stress is check-in counter closures. Some airlines are now closing baggage drops 60 to 75 minutes before domestic departure. If you arrive thinking you have time, because boarding hasn't started yet, you could be denied the ability to check your bag even though the flight hasn't left. The counter closes on schedule, not when the plane does. That is an awful feeling, and it's happening to experienced travelers who simply didn't realize the rules had tightened. The safest approach is to treat check-in cutoff times the way you treat the departure time itself. Missing check-in is effectively missing your flight. Even baggage tracking, which sounds like a purely positive development, has some nuance worth understanding. Airlines now allow you to track your checked bag in real time through their apps. You can watch it move from the check-in counter to the carousel. You can see when it's loaded onto your flight and when it's offloaded. For most travelers, this is genuinely reassuring. But it also means that compensation claims are evaluated more precisely than ever before. If your bag shows up later the same evening rather than the following day, your eligibility for reimbursement may be limited or eliminated entirely. The tracking data creates a clear record that airlines can reference. Additionally, many airlines now require you to report a missing or delayed bag before you leave the baggage claim area. Not at home, not the next morning. At the terminal, before you exit, waiting until you're home to file a report can disqualify your claim or significantly reduce what you're entitled to receive. If your bag doesn't appear on the carousel within a reasonable time, go directly to the baggage service desk before leaving the building. That step matters more than it used to. Transparency goes both ways. And here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Airport behavior standards are being enforced more strictly than before. The pandemic years changed the relationship between travelers and airport staff in ways that are still being felt. Agents now have less tolerance for confrontational behavior, less flexibility to make exceptions, and in many cases, greater authority to deny boarding over conduct issues, not just security issues. Recording heated exchanges on your phone can escalate situations quickly and in ways that rarely benefit the traveler. Even if you believe you're in the right, the act of recording can shift the dynamic in a way that works against you. I understand that travel is stressful, delays happen, fees feel unfair. Things go wrong in ways that aren't your fault, all of that is real. But staying calm and measured matters more now than it ever has before. A calm, polite traveler is far more likely to receive a workable solution than one who is visibly frustrated that hasn't changed. What has changed is how quickly a confrontation can lead to consequences. Finally, gate changes are happening more frequently and with significantly less loudspeaker announcement than before. Airline apps and terminal digital boards are now the primary source of real-time gate updates. In many airports, a gate change might happen 30 or 40 minutes before departure with nothing more than a push notification and a screen update. The overhead announcement some travelers rely on as their safety net is becoming less consistent. If you're sitting at the wrong gate without your phone out, you might not know you need to move until the area starts to empty around you. And by the time you realize what's happening and find the new gate on the other side of the terminal, boarding may be complete. Enabling gate change notifications through your airline's app before you fly is no longer a nice-to-have. It's a genuine safeguard, and flexibility across the board, it's shrinking. Free standby and same-day flight changes are often limited to higher fare classes or elite loyalty members. Many requests that gate agents could once accommodate on the spot now require submission through the airline's app or website. And agents have less authority to override automated systems even when they want to help. What used to be a conversation is now a process. And the process doesn't always have room for exceptions. Travel used to feel more flexible. It used to feel like there was a human somewhere in the chain who could help you if things went sideways. Now, it feels structured in a way that rewards those who prepared and penalizes those who didn't. But here's the truth. Air travel in 2026 isn't impossible. It isn't broken. It's just more automated, more digital, and less forgiving of small oversights than it used to be. The experience of walking through an airport has changed not because airports got worse, but because the systems behind them got more precise. And precision doesn't leave much room for the kind of improvising that experienced travelers used to do without thinking. The rules didn't disappear, they multiplied quietly. And the travelers who move through airports without stress aren't the youngest travelers or the most tech-savvy. They're the ones who prepared. They checked the requirements, they measured the bag, they downloaded the app, they arrived early. Not because they're anxious travelers, but because they understand that preparation is what makes confidence possible. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Check digital travel authorizations at least a week before any international departure. Go to the official government website for your destination and verify what's required. Don't assume your passport alone is enough. Measure and weigh your carry-on at home before every trip. If it's close to the limit, it's too close. Leave yourself a margin so you're not anxious at the gate. Arrive earlier than you think you need to. International flights, aim for 3 hours. Domestic during busy periods, give yourself extra time. Check-in counters have earlier cutoffs than you may remember. Download the airline's app before you travel. Set up gate change notifications. Create a loyalty account if you don't have one. Even if you rarely fly that airline, the free Wi-Fi access alone is worth the 10 minutes it takes. Keep batteries labeled and in your carry-on. If you own a smart suitcase, check that the battery is removable and remove it before you check the bag. Monitor gate screens throughout your time in the terminal. Don't sit down and stop paying attention. A gate change can happen quietly and quickly. And if your checked bag doesn't appear, go to the baggage desk before you leave the building. These aren't dramatic changes. None of them take a lot of time or money, but together, they reshape the entire travel experience. The difference between a stressful trip and a smooth one often comes down to a handful of small things done in the right order at the right time. If this helped you feel more prepared, comment "Travel Smart" below. And if you know someone planning a trip this year, a friend, a family member, a coworker, share this with them. Because the people most likely to be caught off guard are the ones who haven't flown in a while and assume things work the way they used to. Travel is still one of life's great privileges. Seeing family you've missed, exploring somewhere new, revisiting places that hold memories you care about, standing in an airport, even a chaotic one, means you're going somewhere. And that is always worth something. You just need to know the new rules of the road. And now you do.